Hey everyone. Okay, so I've been learning Houdini for a while now, and of course, coming from Cinema 4D is quite a big challenge. Uh, there are, of course, a few things that are way more complex, but not everything. And we can actually draw a parallel between Cinema 4D and Houdini sometimes, and that's what I want to show here in this series of tutorials. So I hope I can help anyone trying to learn Cinema 4D. So I'm not going to go through all the interface details and how to navigate and all the basics. There are a few other tutorials online that do that. You should check out Motion Punk. He's been doing really good tutorials about the basics of Houdini and comparing it with Cinema also. So we're going to start by a simple thing, which is the cloner. So everyone uses the cloner. It's probably the most used tool in Cinema 4D, and I want to show how we can replicate this. Okay, so let's just create a cube and put a cloner on top, and I'm going to change this to linear instead of grid. So we have 3 clones. Okay. So basically what we have here are 3 instances of a cube. Each one of them is controlled by a matrix, by a point in the center of each cube that we change with an effector. For example, a random effector. A random effector uses the position and changes the position of those points in the center. So what do I mean by those points? We can actually see them here if we choose display index. We can see them there. So this is actually not geometry anymore. It's more of a instances of a cube on a matrix, on a point, and that's what we control with the effectors. So this is exactly the same way in Houdini. Let's just go there. So let's start by just change my interface a bit here. Okay, let's just create a box. This is what a cube is called in Houdini. So it creates a geometry container. Just go in and we have our geometry here. So now we want to clone it, or basically copy it. And we have a node called copy and transform that helps us do that. So if I just activate the node, I don't see anything because I didn't use this translate. So if I just put like 5 or actually 2, I can see already 2 cubes because it's the total number I have here. So I can actually change this to 3. And we have exactly what we have in Cinema 4D. If you want to change these values, you can middle mouse click and then choose how much you want to change them, and then drag to the side. Okay, so now what about the random effector? So like I said, in Cinema 4D, the random effector is basically a random value on the position of those points. And that's what I want to do here. So let's just pull a new node called attribute random or randomize. So we're going to randomize an attribute. An attribute is the position. In this case is the position that we want to change, but the default is actually color, which is represented by CD. If I activate the node or evaluate the node, we will have a different color, a random color per point. What happens here with this node is that if I show the points, it still understands the points of the geometry, unlike in Cinema 4D, which I only have 3 points in the middle. But I actually want to randomize the position. So let's see what happens. If I put P instead of CD, Okay, something weird happened. So I've randomized the position, but the position of the points of the vertices. And that's not what I want to do. I want to randomize the position of the points in the center. So I can do that easily. So in this node, just go and pack an instance, and that's it. Now we have a random position on each point. So this randomize attribute, the way it actually works, you have a few different distribution types here, but I'm going to keep this simple. So let's talk about the default only. So I can randomize the position attribute between two values. So in Y, for example, I'm randomizing it between 0 and 1. So if I just change the value here, this is the maximum value, it will be randomized, and this is the minimum value, it will be randomized. It's a bit different than in Cinema. And I actually I don't want to set the value. I want to add the value to the position that they were already. So this was their previous position, and now I want to add. So add, and now let's see. So yeah, so it's more like this, right? And now if I want to see the points in the center, I can actually press W and I can see the points there. So this is very, very similar to what we have in Cinema now. So okay, we can actually, if I don't pack an instance, if I leave the geometry with its normal points, I can actually do something similar in here. If I just pull this random and put it under the cube and change this deformer parameter to points, I get like something similar to what I have there. Not exactly the same thing, because this is treating the cubes in a different way. Because now they are not geometry anymore, and they are still instances. So the same amount of change I have in this point, I have on this point also. And here, no, they are actually geometries. So I can actually go here and select a face and actually do an extrude. Oops, wrong node. So let's go here again. Let's randomize this and tick. And I can go there. Let's try it again. Extrude. I selected the extrude old, and it should be extrude, this extrude. And now I can actually see, keep modeling, and it keeps adding nodes. So this is the real procedural nature of Houdini working. Okay, so let's go and pack an instance. Right, so the reason I keep seeing the other ones is because I have this node being evaluated, but I was selecting this node, so it kind of ghosts the previous state, right? Okay, so now what I want to do is to actually create a grid. The same way I can come here. Let me just change this to default and choose grid. Right, so I can't do that here. So this copy and transform node is very basic, only does that. So to do that, there are a few ways I can do it. So I can install a group of nodes called MOPs, motion operators, and they are free. There's a paid version, but you can get them for free. And if I come here, start writing MOPs, you can see that I have them here. And MOPs has this MOPs instancer. And this is basically the cloner, the Cinema 4D cloner. If I can use the randomize. I don't need the randomize now. Let's just use this node. You can see that it created a grid, because this is the grid distribution. And I can, make the grid bigger. And let's just put less cubes. Okay. This is kind of weird looking because I actually need okay. I need a normal node, and I actually might put it here. Yeah, so I need a normal node, so the normal skip correct. Anyway, you can use this, and there are like radial and everything, like, so this is perfect. But I kind of like to know the default nodes that Houdini brings. So how can we do this without the mobs? Let's go back to Cinema here. So if I want to do a grid, yeah, I just come here and do a grid. But if this mode was not here, or another way to do this is actually, so I'm gonna keep this cloner here, delete this random, I don't need it now, and just instead of putting this to grid, I'm gonna let it there on object. And now I want to create a matrix. So this matrix, basically what it does is it just describes positions in space, right? So it's like points. They are not actually cubes, right? So if I render this, like, they are not cubes. They're just positions. So if I want to put this cube on these positions, I just have to, drag this matrix here, and now I have the cubes on those positions. This is the logic that Houdini uses. So if I want to randomize the positions now, I can select the matrix and then apply a random. Let's then try to do this in Houdini. Okay, so I want points, right? I need positions. So maybe if I create a grid, I have points, right? Let me go back here. I actually can do that with a grid, right? I'm just trying to actually show how similar this is. So let's just put the grid here. Okay, so now I have a point or a cube on each vertex. Let's just do this, right? I can hide the cube, the plane. Okay, so let's try and see. Let's come back here. I have a grid, and now this is the point positions. I can actually show the points here, and these are the clones. And now I have a node called copy to points. So here I plug the objects I want to copy, and here I plug the positions I want to copy the objects to, and now I have what I have there. So I don't need this anymore. I might need this guy. So if I want to, add a noise to their positions, I just come here and then, okay, I have this problem again. So let's check back an instance. And this is what I was looking for, right? And here the same. If I want, I can put a random here and I have the same thing. So basically, this works the exact same way, right? So there's no big difference. And of course, there's much more to know about Houdini, but at least, this kind of simplifies your vision of Houdini a bit. Not everything is totally different. There are a few parallels between Houdini and Cinema 4D, and that's what I'm trying to show.